What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Monday Night Wars. This is Monday Night Nitro, Week 4 against Raw. Both scores for Raw and Nitro this week get a 2.5 in the ratings. After last week, WCW beat WWF for the first time, 2.7 to 1.9, a 0.8 advantage for WCW. This week, it's a tie, 2.5 for both brands, so I think they would be happy with that. The first week, I gave Nitro a 6 out of 10 rating. The second week, I gave it a 6 out of 10 rating. Last week, I gave it a 5.5 out of 10, despite the 2.7 victory. This week, we'll see what happens. I'll tell you the rating of this week's episode, quality-wise, not TV-wise. I already gave you the TV rating. But out of 10, right at the end of the review, it won't be too long. We'll keep it under 10 minutes, like always. October 2nd, 1995, it was held at the Denver Coliseum in Denver, Colorado. As I mentioned, it's a 2.5 rating for this Nitro and 2.5 for Raw. We welcome, Bischoff welcomes us in, and he says there's going to be a double main event, Flair and Arn Anderson in the main event slot, with Savage and Luger to start. Also, Guerrero will take on Malenko. So, good lineup for Nitro for a 1-hour spot, and Hulk Hogan's here tonight. So they start off with Lex Luger versus Randy Savage. If Luger loses, he has to leave the WCW, which they pretty much said if Luger leaves, his career is over, because they don't want to pretend that the WWF is there. They want to think that if you're in WCW, if you're not in WCW, your career is over. You're done. Ric Flair grabs Bischoff's mic to start the show and says, "Double A, tonight it'll be a night you don't ever forget." Bischoff shows the Luger Savage build. This is more captivating than the Ramon 1-2-3 Kid match that was on at the same time as this. I thought Savage versus Luger was a little bit more important. They tied up, and they begin the spot where they tie up, and neither one gets the leverage advantage. They both stay tied up for like 2 minutes, and then they rolled to the outside like that. Macho Man eventually hit his elbow drop, but there was no referee. He was taken down, so then the Giant came down from ringside. The Giant choke slammed Macho Man, and then he went to the back, and Luger got back up after the elbow drop and then hit a torture rack to the Savage, who was already down from the Giant's choke slam, and Savage couldn't answer the 3 count, so Luger wins at 8 minutes even. I rated it 2 stars. Disco Inferno's music hits, and he comes dancing, and he didn't get any TV time other than just to dance to his entrance theme, so he did, and then that cut off by Eddie Guerrero and Malenko. So these guys lock up. It's their first match in WCW together, both making their Nitro debut. They get 5:29 to work with, so you know it's going to be a fast work rate match with a ton of work rate. Malenko ties up with Eddie in the corner. Malenko kips up after Eddie pushed him over. Eddie with the top leverage battle in the battle of wrist locks. Malenko with a drop toe hold into a front face lock into a hammer lock after a standing switch. Too many leapfrogs and reversals to type out, but Malenko hits a missile drop kick that corners Eddie. He reversed Irish whipped him and slammed him down. Eddie and Malenko roll up each other over and over. Then they show Hulk Hogan arriving to the arena with Eddie with a neck brace out of a limo with Jimmy Hart talking to him, and they decide to go to a split screen, which was frustrating because Eddie Malenko was so good at the time, but then they just went straight to the Hogan footage. Even though Malenko and Guerrero were wrestling for probably a minute and a half that didn't get shown, that pissed me off because it was such a good match at the time. Malenko back to the footage. After the footage of Hogan and Jimmy Hart talking about the Giant, they go back to Hogan just says he wants the Giant, so they just wasted a minute and a half of Guerrero and Malenko's brilliance. And they come back. There's a monkey flip by Guerrero to Malenko. They went to the concrete floor. Eddie comes flying off the top. Malenko with a crossbody off the top. A Mexican cliff diver, says McMichael on commentary. Steve McMichael's with Bischoff and Heenan in the announce booth as always for these early Nitro episodes anyway. Bischoff was the play-by-play man before Tony Schiavone came in. So Eddie with the crossbody off the top, a standing suplex to Malenko. Eddie goes up for the frog splash, but Malenko with his knees up. A reverse hammerlock a few times. Eddie rolled Malenko up and pinned him at 5:29. Great sprint of a match. So many counter holds and reversals. About as good as a 5-minute match as you can get. So I rated it 3 stars and a quarter for Eddie and Dean. Mean Gene introduced Hulk Hogan. He comes out in a neck brace. Hogan says a friend of him told him to confront the Giant, so he's going to go with his friend, and he's going to not wait till Halloween Havoc. He's going to come into the back and beat him down tonight. All of a sudden, a woman comes out, and a woman with a dress and a wig, and hits Hogan with a cane, but it's somebody dressed up as a woman. It's the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan. Giant then comes out with the Zodiac. The Zodiac is the old Brutus the Barber Beefcake, if people don't know. Zodiac was with the Giant and Kevin Sullivan, and they beat him up. They snap Hogan's neck again, so Hogan's laying down on the canvas. The Giant drops everyone with choke slams. The American males run out, Scotty Riggs and Buff Bagwell. And Nasty Boys, they all try to run, but the Giant drops everyone with choke slams. And that's the end of that segment with Hogan injured as they build towards Halloween Havoc with the monster trucks and all that ridiculous stuff. The main event's Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson. Ric Flair and Arn had a good match at Fall Brawl, a great match, 4-star match. They're tying up here. Flair tossed to the barricade. Both guys chopped away at each other as Flair woos. A back body drop on the concrete floor by Arn to Flair. Flair begs no, but then it catches his arm with a thumb to the eye. Flair reverse Irish whipped and walks into a fine spine buster by Ace. A double A spine buster. Both men are down. Arn doesn't pin Flair right away, so Flair kicks out, and then he slaps a chicken wing armbar on Ric Flair. Flair comes off the side ropes with a headlock, then a sleeper by Double A, and then Ric Flair hits a side suplex out of the corner. Flair drops Arn with the right hand. Flair is thrown in an elbow lock into an elbow, and then he slaps a figure 4 leg lock, but Arn grabs the ropes. Flair with the shot to the guts of Arn, and they talk about the OJ verdict as Flair back body drops Arn Anderson. Flair then chops Arn in the ring, and Anderson fights back and goes for a DDT, but Flair counters it. Arn down, and the Nature Boy opens up Arn, hammering him with right hands. Off the ropes, Arn Anderson gets chopped down by Flair as he got back up and went for the figure 4. Anderson in the hold and in the corner of the ring. Flying Brian comes out from nowhere and hits Flair with a big crossbody off the top rope. Flair wins by DQ at 8:17 after Flying Brian interfered. Bischoff calls Pillman a psycho as Pillman and Arn Anderson do a number on Flair. I rate the match 3 stars. It was a really good wrestling match, 8 minutes on TV, including a commercial break. That's just my alarm. Don't worry about that. Sorry about that. That's just my alarm. So yeah, great match here. I rated it 3 stars. Next week there'll be a cage match between Arn and Flair, says Bischoff, so he advertises that, and that's going to go up against the WWF's big main event next week of Diesel, Taker, and Shawn versus Yoko, the Bulldog, and Owen. So both Nitro and Raw stacking the card for next week. This Nitro gets quality rating wise a 7 out of 10. The Malenko Guerrero match captivated. Arn and Flair was damn fine. Savage and Luger was watchable. So for a 1-hour show, I graded it a 7 out of 10. If anything, I could have graded it higher. Again, this Nitro drew at 2.5 in the ratings, as it did Raw. It was the first draw, so the ratings score right now is WWF with 2, WCW with 1, and then 1 in the draw column as of this week, because they both got 2.5. So that's this week's Nitro review. Luger, again, defeated Savage. Guerrero defeated Malenko. And Flair defeated Arn by DQ. Hulk Hogan also wants the Giant for Halloween Havoc. Thanks for watching these reviews whenever you tune in, whether you're following along right now with the Nitro and Raw, or whether you're doing that later and you want to watch these episodes later. These reviews will always be here in our archive. I have the Nitro reviews in the archive for the Nitros. I have a Raw review for the Raw reviews. And you guys can always go look at these reviews when you go to watch the Monday Night Wars again, if you're not currently watching them with me live as we go. So these reviews will always be there, just like the episodes will always be there. So make sure you watch, because it's a lot funner when I break down the segments of which matches went against which matches. We know that the Bulldog and the Undertaker went up against the main event from this week. Again, Nitro and Raw both with 2.5 in the ratings. They draw for the first time, and I give this Nitro a 7 out of 10. So thanks for watching these reviews, and I'm Brett Mix, and I'm out.